down. Whenever we want to start, we can just yeah, we'll do a clap or something. But um, yeah. Okay, so three, two, one. Oh, did I get what? Yeah, hold on 1 second. Did that? Aha. This might be a problem. Is I've got the noise reduction software on here, and it is reducing the noise. So I'm gonna have to figure this out. Actually, hold on. If let me try this one more time. Oh, that's gonna be an issue because it's definitely not showing up on like my on my thing. I think it's at you do yours, and then I'm gonna figure out. No, yes, I just did. I just did. So that we can do. That we can do, or I can do the. Well, I'm recording now, so I'm like a minute into the recording. So if you just want to hit record, we can just sync it up on the countdown, and then it won't be any more than like 1 or 2 seconds difference. Yes. Three, one, now. Okay. You just said that for future reference at around 2:07 or 2:08 in my audio file. Yeah, it's around the 2 minute, like, yeah, it's like anywhere from like 2:05 to 2:10, just so you have like a spot to work from. Yeah. Actually, not a lot of this. We should start doing our pre-production stuff in here, and also it's like I don't need the audience to hear that like I have dinner plans for tonight, so can we do this a little quicker than usual? Like keep it to a speedy hour and a half. I mean, also I just don't have any banter. I haven't fucking done anything all week. I've gone to work. I've gone home. I've fucking died of exhaustion, and that's it. Of time starts now. A Taskmaster podcast now in stereo, and I am Joe. And I think there might be a very very slight delay in our Discord chat. There might be a very slight one. Yeah, some behind the scenes production notes. Yeah, the last time we had to do something like this was actually in episode 1. We didn't realize that we were supposed to have both people start the Zencaster call at the same time. So Emerson came in like 2 minutes later, and I remember you had to sync it up, and it was a pain in the ass for episode 1. We're here. I, yep. Brand new series of Taskmaster. Now, you said you have banter, because I don't, for a change. Okay. Yeah, your audio is definitely a little like glitchy and delayed through Discord, but through the miracle of local recording, I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue. I heard that England lost, and I heard that I'm on a couple like national level subreddits for like countries like Ireland and places like that because I've been to Ireland and I just never unsubscribed from that subreddit, and they were all very not nice about England in the Euro 2021. And we're not going to get into the politics of it, but they're all very not nice. But I also saw that traditional English football hooliganism was not at all uh, was not at all impacted by the pandemic, from what I was able to see. Was I am I correct in that, or did I? Okay, yeah, I didn't know how the game went, other than that a penalty kick went very badly, or was there more than one? Hmm, that's fascinating. Oh no. Okay. Is that it? Have COVID restrictions allowed for that, or are people just sneaking in? Hmm. People will be like that. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Do they quit drink service at some point? Because in American football they stop drink service around the third quarter, and in baseball around like the seventh inning they stop doing drink sales. Hmm. I thought its coming home was for the World Cup, or is it any football cup? Okay. You can tell that like I don't soccer is not a big sport in the United States at all. Like it should give a point that like men's soccer is almost I couldn't name a player. We have a major league soccer franchise system. Oh, the women's team is kick ass, but because of people don't watch women's sports and sexism and everything else, yeah, no, they're great, but nobody cares because, traditional biases against women's sports. Oh yeah, but that's okay. I was gonna say, I mean, people are aware of it, but it's more because we were winning than anyone actually caring about the sport. It's like Americans will do a lot if they're doing well. Like if we were winning in like I don't know what's a sport that isn't if we had a a national cricket team and we won, people would be cricket fans for exactly one day, and then we would stop caring. Yeah, yeah, it is. It's going to be I would have said the NAFTA game, but they repealed NAFTA and replaced it with something. The USMCA games. 1998, I think. I'm going to Google this. You keep talking. Hold on. I'm looking. I'm looking. Hold on. 1994 FIFA World Cup, 1999 Women's World Cup, the Women's World Cup in 2003, and the 2026 FIFA World Cup is going to be in that will be jointly hosted by 16 cities in 3 North American countries. It's called United 2026. Yeah, I've never really understood how these things worked because I always kind of assumed that it was going that the World Cup operated like the Olympics in that they were all just in one place. But like Brazil hosted a couple of years ago, and there were like 6 different stadiums all over the country, and it never quite made sense how that worked to me. The O2 Arena, Old Trafford in Manchester. Okay, actually, hold on. I've looked this up. These are the places where they're going to play, and if you'll bear with me, because this is a long list for the 2026 games. Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. BMO Field in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Estadio Azteca in Mexico City, Mexico. Uh, Estadio BBVA in Guadalupe, Nuevo Leon, Mexico, which is, I believe, in the state of Monterey. And then in Guadalajara, they have the Estadio Akron, Akron. I apologize, Spanish speakers. And that's it. And then the vast majority of these are actually going to be in the United States. We've got, and I'm going to pound these out: the Rose Bowl in Los Angeles, MetLife Stadium, home of the Giants in New York. Actually, no, that's East Rutherford, New Jersey, but the New York Giants play there. FedEx Field, home of the Washington football team in Washington D.C. AT&T Stadium in Dallas, home of the Dallas Cowboys. Kansas City's Arrowhead Stadium, home of the Chiefs. Empower Field at Mile High, home of the Denver Broncos. NRG Stadium, home of the Houston Texans. M&T Bank Stadium, home of the Baltimore Ratbirds, I mean the Ravens. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons. Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles. Nissan Stadium in Nashville, home of the Tennessee Titans. Lumen Field in Seattle, home of the Seahawks. Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, which is home to the San Francisco 49ers. Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts, home to the New England Patriots. Paul Brown Stadium in Cincinnati, home to the Cincinnati the Bengals. Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, home to the Miami Dolphins. And Camping World Stadium in Orlando, who is home to... Does Orlando have a football team? I don't remember. It is for college football, I believe. Yeah, it's actually mostly college bowl games and international soccer matches. So, yeah, it's currently home to a couple of bowl games, which are, you're going to love this because college football has kind of like their own, like, divisionals and final series. The Camping World Stadium hosts the Citrus Bowl, sponsored by VRBO. The Camping World Kickoff, which is another game. The Cure Bowl, sponsored by FBC Mortgage. And then see if you can guess who sponsors this last one, the Cheez-It Bowl. Do you not know what No, no, no. Oh, do you not have Cheez-Its in the United Kingdom? Ch- yes, they are. Here, I'm going to drop them in the chat. I'm sorry. I thought that joke was a lot funnier to me because we have Cheez-Its. That's an How delightfully English a what's it. But yeah. But yeah, and if any of you are into American football, you can take your opinions on how I pronounced your team's names and shove it up your ass because I know what I said. Oh, sorry. Ooh, don't spill anything on Jensen Button or anyone. Is that who's who does who's a famous racing driver? Because I don't give a shit about F1. It's not enough about driving skill anymore. It's just who can make like an incrementally better car that does like a one millionth of a second better. They've taken all the fun out of it. 6:30 a.m. 6 6:30. You cut out there for a second. Ha ha ha! You've elicited a tiny laugh of sympathy for me. Oh my god. Oh, you're taking the bus? Oh no. Okay. Oh god, just drive up the night before or something. Sleep in your car. I don't know. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's terrible. At least you can sleep on the bus or something. Is it a lot? They'd bet they'd better pay you a lot. Oh no no, I'm not gonna ask you to say how much it is, but they'd better pay you a lot to make you wake up at 4 a.m. Uh, yeah, I'm at 20. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is episode one, featuring featuring new comedians. Yeah, Al Murray, Dave Gorman, Hall Chowdhury, Rob Beckett, and Sarah Pascoe. Now I know who Rob Beckett is from Mock the Week. I know of Dave Gorman because I have seen clips of him on Facebook, and he's usually wearing a shirt that says Gormhub on it, which is, of course, a parody on the Pornhub logo, but with his name in it. And the rest of these people, okay, we real that is a, I know, I know. You should just actually drop the jingle in there because we need to get our listeners in trouble. But and then no, we won't. Who's listening to you edit this? I listen to this in the car. Nobody will know. And then yeah, no, it'd be funny. Okay, but Al task. Oh my god. Al Murray, I know. Yeah, because you can hear me going, "Oh no," and yeah, but Al Murray, he does comedy, and I've seen some of it, but I genuinely could not name anything he's done. Sarah Pascoe, he's nicknamed what? That's it. That's it. I don't know any of his bits, but I know he does that. Then Sarah Pascoe, I believe, has been a less frequent guest on Mock the Week than Rob has. And then Paul Chowdhury remains an enigma. I've seen him on Taskmaster. He remains an enigma. Yeah, that's fair. I just don't know anything about him at all. I know he's of of Indian or Pakistani descent. I should look that up because that is an important socio-political distinction. Keep talking for a second while I Google. Yeah, I'm sorry. Uh he was born in Yeah, oh yeah, it's really funny. He is of Indian Punjabi Sikh descent, but he was born in Edgware, London. So that is he was in Cruella, the new Disney movie that's terrible. It did come out last month. That's right. I didn't care. Do you want to hear a do you want to hear a minor spoiler that I gleaned from the internet because I didn't see it either? Is that apparently the reason why No, I haven't said spoiler warning. If Cruella Cruella Deville's backstory, why she wants to skin the puppies alive in the much better animated film 101 Dalmatians, is that her mother was chased off of a cliff by Dalmatians, and that's why she hates them so much. Which is like, according to people who are into Disney, this is like the most bullshit thing ever, because every previous interpretation of Cruella de Vil in and out of Disney canon has been that she's just a bad person and she doesn't need any further explanation. I don't either. I don't. Speaking of live action Disney prequels, Black Widow came out a couple of days ago, and it was fine. It was all right. It's not the it's not it's not the worst one I've seen, but it's also not the best. And most importantly, I didn't give a shit because we know she died in Endgame, and therefore I have no interest in learning any more about the character because she's dead. I don't need to learn her backstory because it doesn't matter. There weren't a lot of movies between now and then. If this movie had come out in 2016, if Black Widow had come out before Endgame, it would have been maybe like the third or fifth best Avengers movie to date. But because it didn't, I don't care. It goes down there with like, like the Edward Norton Hulk movie and like or background origin movies that I don't give a shit about. The only fun thing about it is they set the opening of this film in Ohio, and I'm going to go real nerd here for a minute. They actually managed to use the correct license plates for the time periods they were setting it in. They didn't use the correct they didn't use the correct number letter combinations because because they have a scene in a later time frame when they have the modern Ohio license plates and it's the wrong letter number combinations, but they use the correct plate style, which honestly that's a lot more than I would give some movies credit for. And they even managed to get in the beginning of the movie they have a car with a county sticker on them, which is very important because in the 90s, when that scene takes place, Ohio required every license plate to have a sticker on it that said what county it was issued in. And theirs was actually a real county. It's down by Cincinnati, and it was actually like a real thing, which is good effort. Good effort to them. I'll give them that. I am a license plate nerd because I know about this for the state of Ohio. So I happen to know a tiny bit more about that than the average person. It you wouldn't be if you knew me. If you knew me like a lot. Yes, we should. Yes, we should. Yes, I do. I do. We should very quickly go through we're going to go into the first prize task. If that's yes, yes, Alex has raisins in his pocket that he just has. I know. They didn't mention it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about because we do every other task we hand off, and the ones that are the every other task I really like. So for the prize task, they were told to bring in their most flamboyant clock. Now this is really cool because for a while in college I was really into watch collecting for like a year. So I actually have a couple of really flamboyant French watches, but we'll get to what I would bring in a minute. We're going to see what everybody else brought in. Al Murray brought in a really interesting clock, which is it's a digital LCD display like you'd find on most appliances, and it's because it is an appliance. It's a Rangemaster Professional Deluxe oven with 5 gas burners, 2 ovens, and a I believe it has like an electric hot plate on it as well. And it's a professional grade thing. It's silver. It's enormous. Looks really cool, and it happens to have a clock built into the front of it. It's really funny. This is actually going to be a persistent theme here because if you think about it, this is a very expensive thing, and Al Murray is not above paying his way to victory in an episode of Taskmaster. Then we get Dave Gorman, who was on the exact same brainwave with Al, albeit at a much lower price point. He brought in a digital clock attached to a microwave oven, which it's not as great because it's obviously like a home grade microwave oven that's not as good. There are much higher grade microwaves than the one he brought in, and so that will hurt him in the scoring. Then Paul brought in something very interesting. It actually is a watch. It's a Swatch brand. That's SWATCH brand watch called a Pop. He's had it for around 20 years, which makes it like a mid 90s vintage at time of filming. And it doesn't have any strap to it. I think it has some sort of like clip on the back of it that means he can mount it to anything else. And Greg does not like this, and Paul certainly doesn't help his case by saying that he that by giving like because the watch itself it's black and white with big dots on it around the face, and it's a very specific style. I happen to like it. It's a very clean modernist look that also has a little bit of funk to it, but Greg doesn't like it. Greg thinks it's not flamboyant at all. Paul's defense is that you can clip it on to any outfit, sort of like a miniature version of what I think it's Lil Wayne did, where he would wear a clock on a chain around his neck. Was that Lil Wayne? Was that somebody else who did that? Am I misremembering my? Okay, but it's yeah. No. Listen, you said, do you know about Lil Wayne? The answer there is no. I know nothing about Lil Wayne. Okay. Yes. Yes, I do. Does he actually just have his teeth like that? Oh, I'm sorry. Flavor Flav was the one who wore the clock, not Lil Wayne. But That's certainly a style choice. That's commitment to the look. Please don't. Please don't. But no, no, don't do it. Don't. It's not going to end well. But no. Yeah, leave a comment below or email us ytsnpod@gmail.com for Emerson to do his do his Little Wayne impression. Yay! But yeah, I was thinking of Flava Flav, not Little Wayne. I apologize, but I that does prove that I know next to nothing about Little Wayne. But Paul's Paul's watch is like that, but significantly smaller. And Paul does not go for the. I think it is flamboyant because spoiler alert, at the actually I won't spoil it. At the end, the winner of this episode tries on Paul's watch on their clothing, and it actually looks really good. I liked it a lot more because it's a very subtle kind of flamboyant, and also you have to also acknowledge the inherent flamboyancy of someone who clips a watch onto like the hem of their shirt as opposed to wearing it on their wrist, because that is clearly a fashion statement because you can't actually tell what time it is because you have to like look down at your chest. So there's an inherent bit of flamboyancy there. But also Paul doesn't help because he claims that the flamboyant outfit you could clip it to is a kilt. So clearly not the best one. Then Rob Beckett brings in a timepiece that is not quite a clock. It's a tortoise sundial. It is a faux. It's not a real tortoise. It's a metallic tortoise lawn ornament with a sundial coming out of its back. He claims he's very late in the winter because the sun isn't out as much, which is true. That is how that works. I bet he doesn't really get out after 5 o'clock when the sun goes down in the winter. And then Sarah Pascoe, yeah, Sarah Pascoe, meanwhile, brings in an actual clock. This is it's in tradition of contestants bringing in something that belongs to their significant other without their knowledge. Sarah brought in her boyfriend's Queen clock, and it's a not the Queen as in the band. It's one of these modern. Okay, yes, it is it's one of these modern. No, that was good. That was good. It depicts it seems to be made out of an old Queen record. I couldn't quite tell which one it was, but it's got and then it's got hands. It's either a record or something that looks like a record, and then there are the hands protruding out of it, and out of the center of the record, and then it's I mean it probably is a 33 RPM single. They made a lot of those. There's a lot of records lying around, especially for a big name band like Queen. But anyways, a that one is a just it's a clock. It's an actual clock. I'm very familiar with these kinds of clocks because these are the kind of cheap you buy in a in one of these trendy stores like Urban Outfitters. I don't have an English equivalent of it, but it's a store like Urban Outfitters where you buy something that's trendy, but it's not really that great of a quality. And when we get into a no, no, I am aware of what you spelled. I have never heard of this store. No. Not okay, no, but it's the same thing as Urban Outfitters though, where it's basically like they sell trendy shit to people. Okay, but yeah, it's in the same vein as that. And actually, if we want to drop the and then we're going to do the scoring right now, just because I want to talk more about this Queen record clock, but that has to be in the Taskmaster Joe segment. So okay, there it is. So I starting from the bottom, I gave Sarah the last place because I hate these kind of clocks. I hate these kind of clocks because they're incredibly cheap and they're incredibly terrible. And it's just a cheap, shameless thing. There's no like I like watches and stuff like that. And for those of you who are into watches, the thing I like about them is called complications, where there's different things on them. Like my watch that I wear every day has a reel for the putting Freddie Mercury on it does not make this flamboyant because this clock is a record. It doesn't even have notches on it to tell where the hours are. These are very cheap. These are very bad. They don't keep time very well, and they cost like 7 cents to make or some ridiculous figure. They're made in China and they're sold for inflated amounts of money because they're trendy. I really they run on a double A. I cannot stand these because they're right on the line of trendy but lazy. Like I hold them in about the same level of disdain as print on demand t-shirts because this is a single template that you just throw together whenever a single thing becomes trendy and you can churn them out in like with a week's turnaround time and then you can dump them on like Urban Outfitters or ASOS like capitalist diarrhea. I hate these. I hate these things so much. I hate all these like cash grab garbage because it's not it's not a good quality product and it loses a lot for flamboyancy because like my watch has four different complications in it. My watch has a 24-hour hand, a separate 24-hour hand that tells you what time it is in the alternate time zone you have it set to because it can be set to two different time zones and it'll swap back and forth. A reel that tells you what day of the week a, it is, and a little reel that tells you what date it is. It also is controlled by radio signals from the radio that so that you can so that it sets itself at midnight every night, so I don't have to set it at all. It has an alarm built into it. I just don't like cheap shit. I really don't like cheap shit that's expensive is what I don't like. Like if with a personal with something it's expensive but it's all margin and I hate that sort of shit because it never looks good. It never you can tell it's cheap. If it was a terrible clock but it looked substantial, I would be much kinder to it. Like if this was like they turned a record player into a clock, I'd be more along the lines that if they used a better mechanism, that's because I can tell it's that cheap mechanism. I had one of those clocks in college, and it never worked right. It was never quite on time. It doesn't even have a second hand. it's just got like a minute and an hour hand, or if it does the second hand, it does. It's very small, and it didn't show up, and I don't like them. I don't like them. So that's last. Yeah, I apologize. I have strong opinions on that. Dave Gorman's microwave oven, because it's it's a cheap microwave and it's not flamboyant at all. This one is not controversial. It's just that it's not a very flamboyant looking microwave, which is really what it is. Then, actually, no, I'm sorry. I would yes, I did put that one there. Then I put Rob Beckett in third because a tortoise sundial is very flamboyant. There's just better stuff ahead of it. In second place, I put Al Murray's oven because, my God, a pro grade stovetop like that is inherently flamboyant, and that is a good choice. I mean, I don't even I like that. And then obviously in number one, I gave Paul Chowdhury because the inherent flamboyancy of a watch that you can clip on to your like boutonniere hole in your suit jacket or something like that, and just wear it as a brooch is that is top tier subtle flamboyancy, and I like that. I like that a lot. That is a subtle look that I enjoy a great deal. And then I really dig it. I thought I wasn't going to, but then I saw the winner of this episode where, and I was like, yeah, I was right. I was right because it's the very like minimalist, like just the dots around the dial, and it's a nice watch. And then it if he'd brought it in on a strap, it would be fourth place because then it would not be you would not be able to clip it on to your clothes. Because it clips onto your clothes, it's not a pocket watch and it's not a wristwatch. It is a fashion statement as opposed to a timepiece, and I like that. And then before what would you bring in, Emerson? Because I have a windmill slam answer for this. Like, I know exactly what I would bring in. So you tell me yours. Oh, Oh no, no, no! It gets better. You'll watch the video. I sent Emerson a video of the clock I would bring in. You'll see it. Yeah, that's a good option. But yeah, but the thing I just what the thing I just brought the thing I just sent you, and the thing I would have brought in is it's a Seiko Melodies in Motion clock, and I had to look up what it was, but this is a clock that you can buy. We've bought a couple from our local like warehouse club stores. Sam's Club, I believe, sells them. So does Costco. And if you click the video right now, Emerson, what you'll see is that it looks like a normal clock until it hits the hour mark, at which point it will play a tune. Bits of the clock will spin around, bits of the face will spin around, and then in this specific one, little windows inside the watch in the clock pop open, and little figurines dance in it. This is not the exact one my family has. I couldn't find a video of that one, but My grandparents have theirs because we bought them one when we bought ours. Theirs is programmed. It's programmed to play a bunch of different things. You can have it set for like either seasonal Christmas melodies, or it'll just play like random pop songs. They have a version of like theirs will on the hour play like a bill like the like a light instrumental version of a Billy Joel song or a Christmas Carol, or I think the weirdest one I heard was George Michael's Faith played in like a very melodic sort of melody version on this clock as the face spun around. Did you yeah. I know, right? Isn't it the most flamboyant thing you've ever seen? And they have like 2 dozen of these different kinds. Oh yeah, no, and I'm gonna send you what my runner-up would have. The pieces move around on it. Come on. But yeah, although here I'll send you my second choice for what I would have brought, which is when I got into watches, there was a company that I really enjoyed. It's a French brand called Lip, LIP, and they had 2 specific watches that I really liked. One was called the Mythic, and the other one was called I believe it was called the Mach 2000. And this one and either one of these are just inherently flamboyant. This one's the Mach 2000, and this one's the Mythic. God, I'm gonna have to put these on the screen, or maybe I won't. But yeah, these are it's nicknamed the Egg Timer. I don't know if that's something that like people do, but I've posted about this online, and it's always got like does it looks like an egg timer, but I don't wear these as much. Yeah, because we've talked ourselves out after we get through the prize task. But the 53-minute mark. Yeah, to we should roll on like Rob Beckett to the next task. Mhm. There are 5 minutes on the clock, and then I would like to point this out. This is, I think, the first task we've seen where they do not say your time starts now. In fact, it says there are 5 minutes on the clock on the microwave. The microwave starts now because you have to get to the microwave in under 5 minutes. You should do that. You should do that. Your microwave starts now. That's that. Mention in the comments below. No, he didn't. There is also they couldn't, I guess, afford to get the track closed off because people are actively using this sports track while the task is being filmed. It's hilarious, but otherwise known as London. Mm-hmm. Rolling Rob. He had a large coffee, which made him very ill. Well, he was close to dry heaving actually. At the end of it, he was very ill at the end of this. I don't know how he could have gotten that sick, but I guess he has a, as Greg noted, he has a very weak constitution. Yeah. Yeah, he couldn't really figure out how to get over it without stepping. So what he did is he stood in front of it, made a couple little steps to turn, and then just hurls himself over it like it's a set of uneven bars and just flops down on the other side. No. I find that do you want me to, well you do that. Do you want me to take the next one how Paul and Dave did or mention anything else about Rob? That was startlingly fast. Oh wow, this is genuine old YouTube. Keep going, keep going. Quote from him. Yeah, good on Rob. Dave and Paul are shown to they're shown together, but there was some amount of differences. The big difference, which was not, Well, he sacks himself on the fence, actually. He Yeah, that was not ending well for him because it was just at the right height. Mhm. Yep, which was and it was a nice and tidy 50 steps. Very round. Yeah, and then is Paul Chowdhury. Cuz this is a running track. This is a running track that they're on, and there are hurdles in the running track, like for literal hurdles, because this is like for hurdling practice. And they're like children's sized hurdles or like small adults. Like these are not like Olympic level. I don't. Well, there were a couple of those. There were also a couple of much shorter ones, but they were placed directly in the path of everyone who was doing this. So like Rob and this one was decidedly not. It was maybe like ankle height. Paul tried to walk on it. I think he was trying to think that in his mind, it probably went that step only counted if his foot touched the ground. So he tried to use the hurdle as like a balancing beam to avoid to like walk on that, and it didn't really work. And he eventually just resorts to taking large steps like Dave Gorman did, which is why they're shown together when it's on a fucking hurdle. Microphone? It took him well over 7 minutes to get there, so he is unfortunately disqualified. Then Al and Sarah are shown next together. Because there was so much goose shit in the area on that track the entire way. Yeah, yeah, mine. Yeah, Sarah gave up after she hit the fence. Yeah, Paul suddenly became the expert of record on what is not a step because he also tried to say that uh, Al's walking on his knees was steps as opposed to not steps because Alex's definition, all the ones he found involved the use of feet. So he he was very put out by that. Actually, if you want to put that whole soundbite where he goes like that's out of order, that was a really funny exchange. Uh yeah, right here. And then Al came very close to winning that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul gets no points, I believe. Actually, this isn't even the only disqualification in this episode, as we'll see in this next task. Uh, this next task hopped. I would I wouldn't have done like a single leg hop, but I definitely would have just hopped along the ground because that's instinctively what I would have thought of. Like I was actually thinking, oh, you would have asked Alex to turn off the microwave. That's ingenious, but Alex was next to the microwave. Oh, that's even better. That's even better. That actually would have been really funny. That's a good option. Oh, that's I, I think we found the title of the episode is Microwave versus Microphone. Yes, that'll do it. I'll put that in the chat so that we know. Hmm. You'd have to make sure that you wouldn't. Okay, but you'd have to make sure that you didn't take any steps while getting onto the stretcher. Hmm. Yeah, that actually would. But then, speaking of rolling around again, actually, we have Rob Beckett rolling around again. We have the next task, which is propel this pea the furthest distance. The pea must remain on the carpet and land there. Must land and remain on the carpet. So the setup of this is that out in the yard there is a long red carpet, potentially made of the same material that the red green from last season was made out of, and it the red green from the potato task. The cursed red green. Yes, I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. But go ahead. I was gonna mention that. Can we have that soundbite when I mention it? I Yes, although I believe the past tense that is yoked. But now that you've mentioned that, I will definitely use that in a sentence. But so yeah, the okay, because it's funny. Anyways, so there is a red carpet out on the ground in the yard. It's it's longer than 18 meters because we know that one of the contestants got to pee 18 meters and it wasn't even the length of the carpet. But they but inside the house they're presented with a pea in a jewelry box that you would normally present a ring in. It's like a frozen pea. Paul wonders if he's supposed to eat it. He's not supposed to, and he does not. But then they are presented with the task. As mentioned, Rob Beckett immediately tries to rules lawyer it, and realizes that there's a lot of ambiguity in propel and must remain on the carpet. He also wonders whether or not he can keep it inside the jewelry box, because then because it'll still have landed there. And he says that if there is any opposition to this from Greg Davies, he'll knock him out. Which, if we can have that soundbite right here. Oh, we did? Okay. Cool. But and you just did. That's really funny. But so up next, so then we cut back to the studio, and if I'm going to give Emerson some more editing work in the future, Greg immediately says that only an idiot would just hurl the pea that's like the size of a pea down the lawn and then not be able to find it, because they wouldn't be able to find it afterwards. And they have smart people on this show, right? And cut to Sarah and Dave looking at each other and like, does that mean that's not what we were supposed to do? Sort of ways. And then Alex says, let's go to Sarah, Dave, and Paul. And they all start laughing because Paul Chowdhury has been sitting there like totally wide-eyed and blissfully unaware of anything else that's going on. And they realize that he did it too. But they were all shown together. They all just fucking threw their peas down there. Dave did use a tennis racket, but Sarah and Paul just yoked theirs down there, or yeeted, I believe is the correct terminology for here. Yeeted, but I'm not sure if it's yeeted or yoked. It doesn't matter. Yes, we are in fact young people. We are hip with the youth. Someone dab. I'm not going to. But Sarah, yeah, Sarah actually is like an outlier in this because she hurls her down the green 3 times, and each time it lands smack dab on the red with no problems whatsoever. She finds it immediately. It's something like 18 meters or so. Her best go. She actually like does it again. And she had no trouble with it at all, and I bet she was wondering, like, was I not... That's why she was wondering, like, was I not supposed to do that? Because it went perfectly fine for her. Then we have Dave Gorman and Paul Chowdhury. Dave used the tennis racket, and it just... That pea is fucked off to somewhere. He cannot find it. He's looking, he cannot find it at all. And he says it's like looking for a pea in the haystack. He eventually asks Alex, can I have another pea to snack on? Which, of course, the obvious implication here is that he's just going to replace the pea and claim he found it. Alex says, oh yeah, but I filled it with ink, so don't try and swap it. It's not clear if he did or not. But then, miraculously, a few minutes after that, Dave discovers that the pea never left the racket and had been stuck into the netting. Is that the correct word for it? Netting of the tennis racket when he first hit it. Strings, netting, whatever. Okay, and so he was very embarrassed. He hit it down again, and he did some distance. He threw the entire racket that time and got it some amount of distance, but it's not important because he didn't win. And then Paul's is just fucking gone. Paul can't find it. Paul just gives up. But anyways, then we cut back to there, and Greg is asking Dave Gorman, did you cheat? And Dave's like, no, I didn't. And so Greg's be like, did you cheat? Dave's, no, I didn't. And then Greg's like, we'll have a ruling on that after the break. So they go to an ad break, and they come back and they show Rob and Al. And Rob correctly deduces that you don't have to throw it down the red at all. You can just put it on the red after you've propelled it. So he puts the P in the wheelbarrow and does about 400 meters, 414 meters in laps around the Taskmaster house's yard, and just calls it a day, and then dumps it on the red from the wheelbarrow, and it gets him like 414 yards and 414 meters and 53 centimeters, because this is in metric. Then Al throws money at the problem again. Al rolls up the carpet, puts it in a wheelbarrow, calls a cab, and then has them drive on the M4 to Slough. So, towards Slough, because I guess that's in the direction of the Taskmaster, away from the Taskmaster house. Can you confirm? I don't know where Slough is. I I was going to say, I know what Slough is. I just don't know where it is. Okay. Okay. But Al, he rolls up the carpet, he calls a cab. For the car people among us, it's a Mercedes-Benz Vito van. Okay. Okay. But yeah, Al calls a cab, they drive. Okay. They make it almost to Slough because it's not mentioned in the task, but there's apparently like a half an hour time limit on this. So he bundles the P into a Mercedes-Benz Vito passenger van, and he, Alex, and the camera person just go down the M4 as fast as they can, and yeah, they get about 18 miles before time runs out, and Alex blows the whistle. He paid £150 for that, and apparently knew the cabbie's niece. She is a GP in, where did he say it was? Cambridgeshire, I think, or Cambridge. But yeah, fun little tidbit about Al Murray's life. Because Al Murray also lives in the general area of the Taskmaster house. So okay, you'll have to. Oh, do you know where he lives? Okay, okay. I'm sorry. I just had a joke. We were talking about Gorham Hub earlier. You can learn about where Al Murray's house might or may not be by subscribing to our Only Al, which is like OnlyFans, but just about Al Murray. So there we go. There's our other stupid joke of the day. But and then we do have a ruling on Mr. Gorham Hub's uh particular particular ruling on whether or not he cheated, and they went to the slow mo almost exactly like they did with Joe Wilkinson in the potato toss last season. And what they discovered was that actually there's a lot of parallels to this because this is almost like second task of the episode, slow mo zoom in, a red piece of fabric is being used again, and some sort of vegetable. there's a lot of weird parallels, but I don't feel bad for Gorman at all because there wasn't. Yeah, because they looked at the slow at the footage, and where the he was later stuck to the racket was not it was not there. And Gorman claims that he had been using the racket to search in the grass and it must have stuck there, but it's bullshit. So he's disqualified, which means that yeah. Oh, yeah, not at all. Also, astonishingly, because Paul Chowdhury, even though he lost it, is P, he still propelled it, so he gets 2 points because Gorman is disqualified, so there is no fifth place this time. It only goes from fourth upwards. So, and Al. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that's about it. Honestly, I would have done the same thing as maybe Rob if I'd been the one doing this, because I don't think it would have occurred to me at this point in where Taskmaster was as like a show to call a cab or get on a bus or something. You've always got to temper what you would do by what you've seen so far in the show. I would have just walked it around the yeah, or it seemed like it was about a half an hour. It wasn't it half an hour. It wasn't stated, but the timer seemed to be at like the furthest forward we saw the timer was it was counting down from like 26 minutes. Yeah, you could definitely do that. But yep. And then we have the next task, which can we just right now have the line from Paul that we're all thinking of? That that's the bastards crying in it one. Okay, that's such a great one. That's like top of my notes before anything else. Oh, what did you have written down? Hmm. You have 1 hour. Most of them are, I believe, everyone is shown individually. I have them written down individually, so I'm not certain, but it starts with Rob, and then it goes Al, Sarah, Dave, and then obviously Mr. Chowdhury at the end. Yeah, which actually, if I could make a note here, uh, something interesting that I noticed is that normally when Alex is requested to go get something, it's implied that the task starts once he's provided them with the materials. Here, you can actually see over Rob's shoulder the clock when Alex comes back with the marshmallows. It's at like 23 minutes. So I don't know whether that's counting down or up, but it took Alex a half an hour to do that, and it was deducted from Rob's timing. So I don't know whether or not they do that in other tasks or if this was a single thing specific to this. But I just wanted to make that known. No, no, it wouldn't. But I just I'm just curious now whether or not that's happened in other ones. Yeah, yeah. Although if you were Greg's child, you would have been tossed out for making such a shitty snowman, according to him. He does have nieces, though. Apparently, he mentioned that. That is very Greg Davies. Oh my god, the only thing I could think of when you said that was just him like being in full what's the show where he's the teacher? He's in the yeah, he's in full man down mode and he in betweeners. He's in this is like I'm just imagining this like it's a scene from In Betweeners because I've seen clips of it and he leans down in front of Alex's children and just says your father calls me daddy and I just that's so wrong, but that's all I can see when you said that. It's like he's establishing dominance over Alex's children. Mm-hmm. Does it really? It's not that bad. I do. I want to hear this. And it I knew it wasn't going to freeze all the way. It a Chernobyl snowman is how I believe it was described because the whole problem is that he left it. Yeah, because the problem is that he left it in there for like 35 minutes, and that's not enough time to freeze the water he put in there. So it's obviously not frozen all the way. It looks like just one of these disaster things. Actually, there's an SNL clip from Saturday Night Live clip, and I don't. It was Don Cheadle who was in it, and it's just like cakes that have gone really badly, and the last one has come to life and shouts "Kill me." I'll have to find it. It's and that's what it reminds me of because it just ended very. I will find that. You keep talking. Yeah, yeah. You want to see how I got these scars? Is that from, Oh, Joaquin Phoenix. N- no, it Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I'm gonna be level. I haven't seen it either, but from everything I have been led to understand, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is very not like the Heath Ledger from the Dark Knight Joker or the Mark Hamill from the animated series Joker. So you're more looking at Mark Hamill or uh, or Heath Ledger as opposed to Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is much more of a like dark and gritty origin story as opposed to the actual as opposed to like the deranged madman. Actually, I'm going to send you a clip for you to just keep talking. I'll send you this. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't get that. I don't get that at all. I just get like it's a malformed snowman, unfortunately. Cool, then let's move on to the next one. Sarah Pascoe's snowman. Scoopy. 4 pints worth. No, she asked specifically for 4 pints. Oh, not 4 pounds worth. Please don't make me do more editing work. I've been working longer hours recently, so I've been putting less and less effort into the videos. I've been putting so much less effort into them because I don't have the time to do it. But uh you can do that. I'm not going to make any promises, but yeah, you can do that. I might just slap the thumbnail on it and just do that. This we can have it be deeply incongruous as to what the actual thing is. So yeah, we can totally do that. So yeah, we'll have that as the thumbnail for this. It's kind of a dick move. Especially then because Alex then pulls out of his pocket the raisins again because Sarah had used raisins for the buttons and it's like, "Oh, you motherfuckers, is that Scoopy's buttons?" Oh, his Oh yeah, everybody everybody disliked that. It was very not. ev- that's also an image. That's a joke from the Fallout game series, which I have not played, but I'm aware of the reference. I actually have that on my phone, And for some reason, on one of the audio player apps I have, whenever I use that thing to play like a downloaded piece of audio that doesn't have a cover image, that's the image it uses. So half the time when I'm playing this podcast to listen to it before we put it up, the cover image for it is the everybody disliked that meme. This is not a joke, by the way. That's actually what shows up. No, I will though because I have to find it. It's genuinely just I downloaded it as a joke years ago. Here, I'll send it to you right now. Yeah, 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 and a flat cap. So it's definitely a working class snowman. Sorry, yeah. And I just sent you the image. I'm yeah, yeah, I'll do that. But we're at Dave. Yeah, after Dave Gorman's working class snowman. Hmm. Bastards, bastards crying, isn't it? Oh, and I just sent you my entire notes for Paul's task here in the Discord chat. Paul dot because I didn't have anything other than bastards crying in it because that's it. That's the whole thing we need to do for Paul. You're the one doing the audio editing. You absolutely should, but I'm not going to make you do it. Then yes, you absolutely should do it because that's honestly one of the funniest things in this episode. And there's a lot of funny stuff in this episode. Also, props. Also, I'd like to just give a special shout out to the woman in the audience who is absolutely losing it as he assembles this poor creation, because she is laughing louder than anybody else. And I don't know who it is. I don't know if that's Sarah Pascoe. I don't know if that's somebody in the crowd, but she is laughing louder and clearer than anybody else. And it's hilarious. But the entire audience is losing their mind. It's great. And then I don't remember where in that assemblage of the thing the woman is laughing, but I'm sure if you go through it, it's you'll notice. Yeah. 'Cause- actually, no, we do have one more. We do have one more soundbite in the live task. One more. That's it. But oh yeah, no, I will. I had that written down. You should, but make it like really, make it at like 1.5 times speed, so it's really quick. Because I only have one thing I'd do differently. Because I would swap Al's and Rob's because I think that Rob's Marshmallow Man at least looks the part of a snowman, and so that deserves to be higher up than Al's, ice homunculus. That's the only difference I'd make. But yeah, no, that's it. And then on to the live task, which hmm? Yes, actually, this is by far the wordiest task we have covered to date. I'm actually going to read what I believe was said because it was so long I'm not sure if it's verbatim or not. Balance your suite on your Swede. Your Swede must remain standing at all times. Your suites may only be balanced on the exterior of your Swede. Most suites resting on a Swede after 100 seconds wins. As you might guess, there's a bunch of people from Sweden on the stage next to the contestants, one for each person, including everybody's favorite Fred. And yes, and we are told, and this is the soundbite I would like you to have, is that they can remain standing, but you can manipulate your Swede in any other way. And then Greg immediately pipes up and says, "You can do that physically, but emotionally leave them alone." And I would like that entire back and forth exchange because that's really funny because I had that exact same thought, and then Greg said it. Uh, me and yeah, absolutely. We should absolutely do that. But then the task begins, and really there's not a lot to say about the actual task itself because it's just what are they holding? What are these sweets? Because they look like oh, I thought that this said sweet, SWEET, like it was some kind of candy. Like I was wondering what the fuck this was. Oh, we don't have that in the States. Oh, okay, that explains a lot. I was thinking that this was like some kind of weird cinnamon bun creation, or maybe like a sugar beet that's like it's a sweet. Okay, that okay. Can you send me like a link to that? Because I've never even heard of that before. But anyways, uh, balancing these things, it's everybody except I think Sarah is doing the same thing, which is that they have their Swede hold their arms out and they're filling their arms full of Swedes. Okay. Also known as rutabaga. This is a rutabaga. Okay, that's what this is. But but so they're filling their Swedes' arms with rutabagas, and some are being put on their head. I've never heard it called the Swede before. This is like eggplant versus aubergine. Okay, they're filling their yes, they are in fact filling their Swedes' arms with Swedes, and uh, they're balancing on them on their heads, and it's just generally like fill their arms with it. I was actually kind of surprised because these people are all wearing identical jumpsuits, and you'd think that they would try and stuff something in a pocket, but I'm not sure if that counts as the interior of a Swede. Although obviously we're not going to actually figure out what counts as the interior of a Swede, because then there's obvious jokes we can make there. We're a bit more highbrow than that, having made the Pornhub intro joke twice already. But anyways, they're just putting them on there. Sarah has her Swede bent over. Insert the Pornhub intro here, and she is actually balancing Swedes on his back, which does not appear to be the most effective thing. Rob is also kind of hampered by the fact that his Swede is female, and therefore there is a little less room in her arms to actually hold Swedes. Figure that out on your own. Ask your parents if you're not sure. And so at the end of it, some Swedes have fallen out. They're picked back up. They're put on top of the Swedes. And at the end of the day, Sarah Pascoe and Rob Beckett both got 8 Swedes on their Swede. Dave Gorman got 11. Paul Chowdhury, good showing, 14. And beaten out by Al Murray, who got 15 Swedes on top of Fred. Because good old Fred actually was a benefit as opposed to a linguistical hindrance for once. And so that's is it? Oh no. But yeah, also I would like to note that Greg gives oh okay. And then actually at the end of this, Greg does give thanks to our regular Fred and the London Swedes, which is actually a very good question because I was wondering where they found these other Swedes. Were they just other expat friends of Fred's, or were they from like a casting agency? I wonder if they're all in like a band or something. I'm very interested to see how that just to learn in the future whether or not they were actually like a group or if that's just something Greg called them in the moment. Yeah, yeah, it was. And actually, that's about it. We at a brisk 1 hour 48 minutes, we are very wrapped up. The scores on the doors. Well, no, no. Did they get 8 points or did they get was it standard, 5 through 1 points? Okay, yeah. Whoa! And then as I mentioned earlier, he runs up onto the stage and he tries on Paul's pop watch, which actually it looks really good on him in that instance. It's a really good look, and that's why I really like it. And that's our show. Right. Go to bed, Emerson. Good night. And I've been Joe. See you soon. Good night.